What's going on, nation? AJ Reilly here with The Corner, our twice weekly show that we do previewing and reviewing Tigers series and talking only about our Detroit Tigers and the great game of baseball. I am excited because we have the Tigers who got 2 games in Pittsburgh under their belt after coming off a pretty bad series here in New York that left a bad taste in people's mouths. And now maybe that taste is starting to fade away after their series with the Pittsburgh Pirates. It was a really good series overall for the Detroit Tigers, who now 10 games under 500. They are 10-7 in their last 17, and hopefully things start to continue to trend upwards. And we're going to talk a lot about this team tonight. I do want to remind you that while we are here, make sure that you are commenting, liking, sharing this show. Comment on it, because I'd love to interact with you in the comments and talk about the Tigers, because there's really nothing else I love to talk about more than baseball, and especially our team. So I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to answer those questions for you. But let's get to our recap of the Tigers series against the Pittsburgh Pirates. They played 2 games. The first game actually started in a rain delay, a 2-hour and 5-minute rain delay, so they did not get started until about 9:10 Tuesday evening, and it was a bit of a bounce back here and there between who was starting, whether it was Tarik Skubal, who was supposed to start, whether it was Wily Peralta, who was going to get the bullpen off because of they thought the game might get interrupted, and then when the game didn't start and they got to play a full straight 9 innings, slated Tarik Skubal back to start again. So it was a flip-flop, flip-flop, flip-flop. It reminded me a little bit of the scene from The Office where Michael Scott goes snip, snap, snip, snap, right? Dinner Party, one of the most cringiest episodes of a show that you will see, but also one of the most hilarious. Snip, snap, snip, snap. That's how Tarik Skubal was Tuesday night, because he's going to start the game, but there's unexpected weather that comes in, and AJ Hinch did the right thing. If you're going to start a game at 7:05, which is what they were slated for, and then you might get a rain delay in the 3rd or 4th inning, now you've burnt your best starter, who's not going to come out after that lengthy of a delay and throwing in. So he did the right thing by planning ahead and trying to say, you know what, if this is how it's going to be, then we are going to have to go bullpen game and then just bump Skubal back to the next day, which would have been fine. And he did that because he was under the impression that they weren't going to delay the start of the game. They ended up delaying the start of the game, which actually worked into the Tigers' favor, because they were then allowed to take Wily Peralta out of the starting spot, put Tarik Skubal back, and Skubal did what Skubal does. He pitched a phenomenal game on Tuesday night. I have it right here. I'll give you the line that he had on Tuesday night. He went, sorry, I scrolled the wrong way. He went 7 innings, gave up 6 hits. He did give up 3 runs. One of them was a home run to Mitchell, I believe it was. He did not walk anybody, struck out 9, threw 92 total pitches, and 65 of those 92 were for strikes. And if you want to see the game card that I keep for most, because I try to watch 95% of the Tigers games, except for the one I can't get to due to work and other reasons. But if you want to see the game card from the game, I track pitch by pitch. You can check it out at DSN at the Corner on Twitter. It's posted there post-game with updates on their record and where they sit in the AL Central and where they sit in the wild card race as well. But Skubal did what Skubal does. He did a phenomenal job getting the boys off the field and getting the bats back in the hands, which they did a great job offensively on Tuesday night. It was a sight for sore eyes coming out of New York, the way that they just had holes burned in their bat in New York. They come out swinging good sticks on Tuesday. They ended up with 10 hits, 5 runs on 10 hits. They did strike out quite a bit, though. They did strike out 9 times as well. But it was encouraging because they were not only just hitting the ball, but they were hitting the ball hard. We talk about that hard hit rate a lot here on the corner, and they were hitting the ball quite hard on Tuesday night against the Pirates. Javi Baez ripped a double in the second inning after seeing 6 pitches. And it's something that I talked about last night on Straight Shooting with my buddy Matt, that Baez has got to slow down a little bit at the plate. He's too often chasing too many pitches so early in the count, and I'll write the total pitches on the scorecard of how many they see, and often I'm writing 1, 2, 3 for Baez, and that's just not enough pitches. But what he did in that second inning on Tuesday is he saw 6 pitches in that first at-bat, which is already a quality at-bat, but it allowed him to let the pitcher make a mistake that he could take advantage of, and he did take advantage of it. He dropped the barrel head right on the ball, ripped it down the left field line for a double. Now, ultimately, he was stranded there, but at least that is a good sign. Then he smoked another ball later on in the game for a single. So good things. The offense, Daz Cameron, I think 5 of his last 8 hits have all been for extra bases, which is phenomenal. And I just wanted to read this tidbit. They had it on Bally Sports when Skubal left the game, but Skubal in his last 3 starts, he's 3-0 with a 1.35 ERA, 7 walks compared to 41 strikeouts. So almost a 6-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio, which is phenomenal and something that you definitely want for the ace of your staff. Well, then that moves us to Wednesday. And Wednesday was a little bit tougher of a game. Now, they were facing, it was Max Keller, I believe was his name, that had an elevated ERA, a 5.35 ERA, and they didn't hit, or they didn't push across a ton of runs. They only scored 3, but that was enough. That's all they needed because Alex Faedo, once again, did what Alex Faedo does, and that was give the Tigers a solid 5+ innings, hold the team to 2 or less runs, and really put them in a position to win. Daz Cameron, again, another extra base hit where he tripled off the right field wall that drove in the first run. And it was really nice to see guys like Tucker Barnhart get that RBI double at the end of the game to give him a little bit of that insurance. Miggy obviously doing what Miggy does, hitting the ball hard up the middle to the right side, producing RBIs and producing runs in the 7th inning or later is just phenomenal. And they got on the plane with a 3-1 win against the Pittsburgh Pirates, which sets them up for a series here this weekend in Detroit against a very tough team. The Toronto Blue Jays come to town this weekend. The Toronto Blue Jays, they sit 33-23, the exact inverse of the Tigers' record. They are 3rd in the AL East. They've won 7 of their last 10 games, but they're a scary team. And there's a reason why they're a scary team. And when I look up these statistics, it baffles me a little bit just how good this team really is. Now, defensively, their defense is the worst aspect of their team. That's where they're ranked the lowest in Fangraphs dashboard. Their offense, for instance, okay? Let me get to this. Their offense, for instance, is a top 10 offense going against a not top 10 offense, should we say, right? They have, right now, Fangraphs, they are 8th in the league. Their offense overall has produced by itself a 9.2 WAR. They only walk about 8.6% of the time, and they do strike out 21% of the time, which can work to our advantage given how good our pitching staff is. We're going to get to those pitching matchups here in a minute, but if we want to compare that to, the Tigers are dead last in offense. They have a 6.7% walk rate, and they have a 24.4% strikeout rate. So it's going to be much of the same of what we've talked about is the pitching has got to give the Tigers a chance to win. And hopefully they're putting the ball on the edges, making these guys chase, making them use that 21% strikeout rate of the Toronto Blue Jays to their advantage. And here's who's going to be doing that for the Tigers. Obviously, Skubal and Faedo just threw Tuesday and Wednesday, so we get to that back half of the rotation again. And there's no better way, I think, to get rid of the taste of your mouth from last Friday than by starting this Friday against another high-quality caliber team. And I'm talking specifically about Elvin Rodriguez last Friday night. We know got hung out to dry. He had to get to the 5th inning to save the bullpen for the rest of the weekend. And he did get to the 5th inning, but he did take his lumps, giving up 10 earned runs against the Yankees. They were bombing the ball all over the place. And that was because of the report that came out that he was tipping his pitches. So let's hope that he went back to the drawing board over this last week and was able to figure out how maybe he's giving tendencies to other teams, how maybe he's creating situations where guys can pick up on the pitches that he's throwing, and I look for him to hopefully have a nice bounce back. Let's have a Faedo-esque outing. Let's get 5 strong innings, 2 or less runs. If he can do that, then he's had a great outing. If he can go 6 and give up 3, I don't want to get over that 2 mark because the Tigers are a much better team when they score 3 runs as opposed to 2 or less runs, which any team is. When you have a team that puts runs on the board, you end up winning more games than you lose, and that's just not what the Tigers have done yet. Rodriguez is going to be facing off against Jose Barrios. Barrios right now is 4-2. He's got an elevated ERA at 5.24. He is somebody that the Tigers hopefully can take a little bit of advantage of, and they should know what he brings to the table. They faced him when he pitched for the Twins last year and prior to that. So hopefully there's a book on him, and maybe there's some tendencies that he has that the Tigers can pick up on. But the key for the Tigers, again, is going to be that chase rate, all right? Balls out of the zone that they're swinging at and not making contact, and balls in the zone that they're not making contact with. There's been too many swings and misses for balls in the zone for the Detroit Tigers. So Friday night, we're looking at Elvin Rodriguez against Jose Barrios. We hope that Elvin can rebound. We hope that he can keep a very highly touted offense full of young, powerful hitters off the board. And the key is going to be pounding the zone. The key is going to be keeping the ball down, living on the edges, making sure that you're changing speeds, keeping those batters off balance. And it's really going to start with the Toronto Blue Jays leadoff hitter, George Springer's a fantastic leadoff hitter. And he sets the tone most nights of how the games are going to go for a starting pitcher. So if you can work hard to limit and minimize the damage that Springer can do, then you can then work your game plan to minimize the damage that guys like Vlad Guerrero can do and Bichette can do. Okay, those types of hitters that they're scary. This is a good test for the Tigers again. The Yankees are in a league of their own right now. They are like the top tier of baseball right now. That second, third tier is where the Toronto Blue Jays fall. And so if you want to really measure up the type of team that you are and can potentially be, then you have to show that against a team like the Toronto Blue Jays, who are a good team. They're a good team. I said going into these last 2 series, the Pirates and the Blue Jays, if they can win 3 out of these 5 games, that's a good 5-day stretch. They've already won 2 of them. So let's see if we can get that one more win and then maybe scratch out another one. But when you're 10-7 in your last 17, that's a good trend moving forward. That's a good trend moving forward. So we're going to talk more about that coming up. I do want to remind you, we are live, so just go ahead and throw comments into the chat bar down there so that I can see them, interact with you, talk with you about our Tigers and how they're doing and how you think they're doing and what you think they need to improve in, because I would love to have that dialogue. If you're watching now, make sure you hit that share button, hit that like button so other people can enjoy the commentary and the conversation as well. Moving to Saturday, okay, they have a 4:10 start on Saturday. That's going to be Kevin Gausman against Bo Brisky. Gausman has taken a decision in 9 of his starts, 5-4 with a 2.78 ERA. Very good pitcher. Has had a little bit of a renaissance, okay? Brisky obviously cannot get out of the loss column. He had a very good outing against the Yankees. He pitched extremely well. Just a bit of bad luck going against that lineup and against Severino, who shut our lineup down completely. So I expect Bo to build on what he did in Yankee Stadium. Listen, if you can do what you did to the Yankees in Yankee Stadium, then you can do that anywhere. So hopefully Bo has learned that he does belong, that he is the type of guy that the Tigers can count on. Not going to be a flashy guy, not a top of the end or a top end of the rotation kind of guy, but he is the type of guy that the Tigers can fill into a rotation that helps round it out. Kind of like a Faedo 0.2. You have your Skubals and your Mizas when he's healthy. Please get healthy soon. But then you need other pieces like Faedos, like Briskys, that can fill into that back end of the rotation to give you solid outings and allow your team to win. Because if you're only winning 2 out of 5 games, if you're only winning when your best pitchers pitch, then you're never going to get to where you want to be. So having guys that give you the opportunity to compete, like a Bo Brisky, like an Alex Faedo, that really helps moving forward and building that winning type attitude and thought process and belief in a team. Moving to Sunday, they have a 1:40 first pitch. Ross Stripling is going to be taking on Tarik Skubal. Okay, that 5th day has rolled around. We saw Skubal on Tuesday. He's going to pitch again on Sunday. Skubal again, last 3-0, 1.33 ERA, 7 walks, and 41 Ks. Like a great dominant stretch of games over these last 3 for Tarik. But Stripling's nothing to sneeze at, right? 2-1 with a 3.65 ERA. And I expect the Tigers to be able to get at least 2 Berrios and Stripling. Let's put some runs on the board. Let's put the pressure on that defense of the Toronto Blue Jays. Make them make plays and make them get you out. When you're striking out like the Tigers were against the Yankees, like the Tigers did Tuesday night against the Pirates when they had 9 strikeouts there, when you're not even putting the ball in play, it's hard to make anything happen. A prime example of that was Sunday afternoon when they're playing the Yankees and Javi hits a cue shot down the first baseline, right? You put the ball in play and you make the defense make a play. So the Tigers' key to victory is balls in play. We've talked a lot over the last couple of weeks about hard hit rate and expected batting average, right? And even on outs where the ball is hit hard with a good launch angle, you have a higher expected batting average. But sometimes that expected batting average is not reality and you make outs. All that tells me is that you keep hitting the ball hard and eventually they're going to fall. And that's where we'd like to see the Tigers start making improvements offensively. If you want to see this team and you want to make a mental note of, is this team getting better? Notice how many balls that are hittable they're actually putting into play. Not fouling off and not swinging through. How many balls are they putting into play? And that's going to allow them to put pressure on the defense. It's going to allow them to make the defense make plays on them. And hopefully, luck runs in their favor a little bit. So I want to talk about the next 54 games. And this is where I want to end this live. We're 20 minutes in. I would love to have some conversation, so go ahead and throw comments in the chat if you would like to, maybe questions, thoughts, concerns, whatever you want to talk about that relates to the Detroit Tigers. I would love to get to them. But let's talk about the next 54 games. So in the first 54 games, and you're like, AJ, why do you keep bringing up these 54 games? There's a reason why I bring up those 54 games. Everybody knows the famed manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers. His name is Tommy Lasorda, and he said that you can break the baseball season down into basically 3 segments. 162 games divided by 3 is 54. Okay? Those 54 games, and what he says in this is this: you're going to win 54. you're going to lose 54. And he said what sets good teams apart is what they do with that middle section of 54 games. So let's look at the Tigers. So going into the Pittsburgh series, right? Coming out of the Yankees series, game 55 was Tuesday night. So before they took on the Pirates, they had played their first 54 games, and they were 21-33. Not great. Not great. But in their last 17, they are 10-7 in their last 17, which is better than 21-33 as far as winning percentages go. That's an improvement, right? What we want to see over these next 54 games is we want to see a closer to 500 record in those 54 games. So if you have 54, that's what, 27, you want to try to get around 25-29. That would be good. You want to get around maybe a 27-27, or if at all you can, get above 27 wins in the next 54. If they can do that, I think that we're going to see this team actually meet the type of potential that we thought that they had at the beginning of the season. Listen, water always finds its level. Javi Baez is not going to hit sub 200 for the rest of the season. Now, is he going to hit 260, 270, 280? No, I'm not saying that he's going to do that. But he is going to start putting more balls into play. And Javi, when he puts the ball into play, that double that he ripped Tuesday night came off the bat at 112 miles per hour. That's pretty hard hit, okay? When water starts to find its level as far as these offensive guys go, and Miggy continues to be Miggy and rip those singles and keep pushing runners across the plate in the 7th inning or later, you're going to start to see more wins than you are losses, especially when you start to introduce names back like Robbie Grossman, when you see a guy like Reilly Green make his debut, that's only going to improve this lineup. And truthfully, that's closer than we think that it is. Okay? A lot closer than we think that it is. Grossman and Green have both been playing in AAA this last week, and I would not be surprised if A, there's some kind of move made tomorrow before the game, or B, immediately going into the next series on Monday with the White Sox, because we're not going to keep these guys down forever. It's going to leave them with a lot of decisions to make. Now we have a plethora of outfielders that you're going to have to make some hard decisions on. What do you do with Willie Castro? What do you do with Derek Hill? What do you do with Daz Cameron, who has gotten extended run and has been producing quite well? He's been a very, not overwhelming surprise, but he's been okay. He's done exactly what we would expect somebody to get their first run at the MLB in an extended look. He's had at-bats before in previous years. I understand all that. But he has been putting the ball in play, and he's been hitting the ball hard, which has been very nice to see. So what do you do with guys like that? What do you do with a Harold Castro, a Willie Castro, a Daz Cameron, and a Derek Hill when you have three bona fide outfielders already in Meadows, Green, and Grossman? There's going to be a lot of tough decisions to make. Now, Willie Castro, if he can continue to put the ball in play, even though, truthfully, of that list that I made, I would probably rank him like third of who I would like to keep. I would love Harold to stay up because Harold just hits the ball wherever he's at in the lineup and wherever he's playing in the field. He just hits the ball, and you need a guy like that. He can play the outfield, he can play the infield, and he has put the ball in play. So Harold Castro's safe. Daz and Willie is going to be the decision, right? I think Derek Hill has had his chance. I think Derek Hill is probably going to be a casualty of these guys coming off of the DL. So the decision is going to come down to Willie and Daz, and who is either A, performing better at that point in time, or who is more versatile, which obviously is Willie because he can play the infield, not great, but he has experience there, and he can also play the outfield. So they're going to have to make these decisions, but these decisions are going to drastically impact these next 54 games that we are talking about. So when the Tigers have played 108 games, I really want to see them closer to a 51 and 57, right? 6 games under 500, which would be a 4-game improvement over where they're at now, and that's improving. Obviously, we would love them to be 54 and 54 or better, but we're talking astronomical improvement, and I just don't necessarily see that type of astronomical improvement happening in these next 54 games. Do I see 4-game increase, a 5-game increase? Yeah. And that little increase can then bolster you into maybe another 5-game increase, and you get to 500 by the end of the season. That's what I had them pegged at this season. Was a 500, maybe 1 or 2 games over 500, plus or minus 2 or 3 games. So not being that far off if they make these types of improvements. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens come the trade deadline as well. But these next 54 games, they're going to tell us a lot about what this team is. We think we know what this team is off of these first 54, right? 12 games under 500, not great. Okay, I understand that. But the first 2 games of this second set of 54 games, they've won. And we're going to see what they have to give and what they can do against a pretty stiff competition in the Toronto Blue Jays this weekend. It's going to be a good weekend. If you're watching Bally Sports, I know that Shep and I think it's Gibby are going to be broadcasting from the right field stands over there. So if you're at the ballpark, make sure that you're over there, saying hi to those guys and seeing them. I'm sure that'll be a great experience. It's going to be a good weekend. The Tigers are going to be playing baseball. It's always good when baseball is on, but we want to see good baseball when baseball is on. And I hope that the Tigers can continue doing what they've been doing against a team like the Toronto Blue Jays, who are 3rd in the AL East. They have a tough time against the Yankees for sure this season, but they are a good young team. So if you want to know how your rebuild's going, watch this series this weekend. That is going to do it for us here on the corner. I am AJ Reilly. You can catch me at DSN at the corner on Twitter. I will be here back Sunday night live for a recap of the Blue Jay series and a preview of the upcoming series against an AL Central foe. So until then, you guys have a great night. Tune into the Tigers this weekend. I look forward to talking to you Sunday night, and we will talk at the next series.
Man on a mission, I'ma get it. You know I be on a what?